Okay, by the wonders of modern technology, we should now be underway. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, welcome to the show, Mother Fluffers. Neil Pickup with you here, as always, and I am joined by a face that may be familiar to some people, may be less familiar to others, and that's what this whole show is about. For those of you who know, sat opposite me on the screen is Mr. Kyle Huchison. Now, Kyle is a big name for anybody in the United Kingdom, because we've seen this man go to work. Some of you out there who've been familiar with Larry Wheels' channel will also have seen this young man go to work. Those of you who haven't heard of this guy before, remember the name, because he's got massive potential. Kyle, welcome to the show, mate. How's life?
Good, thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's an honour and a pleasure. And just to introduce you a bit more formally, mate, for those people who don't know you, you are the reigning and defending BAF British Super Heavyweight Champion. But you've sort of fallen under the radar a little bit. You're a quietly, softly spoken guy. You don't go out there and sort of skywrite it that you're the king. But I think it's fair to say, mate, that there's been a little bit of a reaction to your recent trip out to Dubai. And we'll get to that as we go through the interview a little bit more. But I think more to the point, there's been a reaction because people have started to realise what the guys in the UK have been saying for a long time, and particularly the guys in Northern Ireland where you're based, who are obviously big fans of yours and have a massive amount of belief in what you're capable of doing, mate. And it's fair to say that you couldn't have given yourself much bigger of an advert than you just So I want to, before we get into sort of the backstory, I just wanted to initially touch upon how the hell that came about, because a lot of the UK is in serious lockdown, brother. How did you end up going out to Dubai?
The gyms are on our end here in Northern Ireland just got locked down on the Friday and booked Dubai on the Tuesday and then flew out on the Sunday. So nothing planned, just the last minute get out of here sort of thing.
And how did the whole Larry Wheels thing come about? Did you literally just cross paths?
No, his manager, Adam Silver, had actually sent me a message on Instagram September time. He had commented on the match with Oleg and sent me a message just saying about Larry would possibly come over to the UK and would you to call over to your practice to get the 2 years on the table. So I was like, yeah, definitely, anytime. Give us a shout, and then when I decided I was going to Dubai, I just messaged him saying, look, I might be heading over here. If you are about, we could do something. He says, yeah, definitely, I'll be great. So got there, messaged him, and basically the next day I was on the table with Larry.
Now, when you sort of went over there, mate, did you expect to be arm wrestling with him? Obviously, he's been doing an enormous amount of arm wrestling content. Or were you just looking to get over there and work in the gym with him?
I didn't know it was arm wrestling I was looking to do with him. I didn't realise it was going to be in the channel. I was sort of through into the deep end when that all started happening, but, well, this is what it is, but...
And just before we go into sort of your background, as I say, what kind of response have you had since you went out there and you skywrote the fact that you're a bad mother fluffer by taking out Khalid?
The review from Devin Lard was pretty impressed with seeing that on YouTube. So it was a guy actually me on Instagram had seen it. I was like, no. So I went and watched it and was really, really impressed to see that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I got a couple while you were out there. A couple of people sent me over footage of it. A guy called Sissons. We get stuff sent over to the channel all the time, but a guy called Sissons sent me over some footage on a mobile phone and said, "Have you seen?" He just said literally, "Have you seen this?" And then the Irish flag and a couple of strong arms. And then I got another message from your man, Adam. And Adam said, "Oh, Kyle's over there kicking some ass." Then another fella in the comments had said, "Oh, did you see Kyle? He's over there right now." And I went onto your Facebook. I said to him, "Are you sure? Is he over there?" I thought, "How the hell's he managed to travel?" And he came back to me and said, "Oh yeah, it's definitely Kyle, and he's pulling with Khalid." So I went over to your channel and checking it out.
Khalid actually messaged me after the Pulse with Larry. The Pulse with Larry, there was a lot of comments about Kyle v Khalid, sort of thing, and Khalid then actually followed me on Instagram and sent me messages. It was a wee bit hard to understand what he said in the text, but basically then met up with him that night and got to it. And I think I messaged the guy Adam, so he got on to Larry then Larry and his girlfriend came over. So it was your guy, Bader, Mr. Bader or something's house, in that grip shade.
You've got to be careful how you say that, son. So, Master Bader.
Master Bader.
In an Irish accent, when you said that faster, and that came out in the world of wrong, son. Oh, that's good stuff. I love it. Yeah. For anybody out there translating the Irish accent, Master Bader. That's my favourite bit of the interview. We ain't even finished yet. Awesome. Absolute quality. So, did you go into the grip dungeon with him as well, mate, while you were over there?
That's where it was. That's where it was.
How did you go with the Millennium Dumbbell? Did you give that a shot?
I didn't even attempt the Millennium Dumbbell. The Thomas Sensor picked it up pretty handily. Then there was another one. I don't know what it was. Got it a few inches off the ground and slipped. But Khalid was picking it up like it was a bag of shopping. So
Khaled's hand is huge. I mean, just for people who there's a lot of chat online about how much of a freak this guy is. What's your own personal perspectives of Khalid? I mean, to me, the guy looks like he's built for the game.
Yeah, his hand is the biggest hand I've ever seen, to be honest. He's quite big everywhere in general. His hand, wrist, his forearm, it's not muscular, but it's just large. So, no, his hand is pretty, it's like a bunch of bananas when it shook his hand. It's sort of like, it's not often that I check somebody's hand and feel like that, like.
He looks like a giant farm boy, and he's got he's just thick and big everywhere, just real unit,
Yeah, really nice guy when I was over.
I mean, when you sort of went over there, were you familiar with Khalid before you went over? Had you seen the footage with Michael Todd, with Devon?
Yeah, the schoolboy and stuff. I'd seen the stuff on the Irish channel beforehand. Yeah, I'd probably seen Michael Todd, schoolboy. That's really I'd seen him on the table with Devon and stuff. But I was familiar who he was before it went. Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's still I'm a bit shell-shocked that that you got over there. How long had you been planning to go over to Dubai? Just when the gym shut?
Literally just when the gym shut. And it was literally the Tuesday, Wednesday before it was booked then and headed over. Mm-hmm. So really, really last minute.
Let's get a bit more background on who the fluff is Kyle Huchison. For those people who don't know, mate, let's wind the clock back a bit and give the guys at home a little bit of background on your sort of development and evolution in strength sports generally, because you own your own gym, mate.
Yeah, Warehouse Gym in Portadown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the Six Nations was meant to be held there, Paul's competition, but COVID sort of ruined that.
It's destroyed the entire bloody world, hasn't it, really, in terms of arm wrestling. So the Six Nations arm wrestling event was going to be at your place, was it? You were going to have all of that?
10th of October, I think it was. Yeah, that just started falling apart with different people being quarantined and things going to the lockdown. It just disappeared then. But I think we're talking, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think potentially competition held in March.
Yeah. Yeah, if the vaccine works and everybody gets what they want, then maybe there's a possibility that can go ahead March, April time. Fingers and toes crossed, mate. But just give us a bit of a walk now. How did you come into strength sports, mate? You're obviously, you only need to look at you, and you look like you've been carved out of Zeus's tooth. So just give us a bit of a background on how you got involved with strength sports.
It was initially still kind of is, mostly bodybuilding style training. I've always headed that route for years. Took part in a strongman competition about 6 years ago. Won it. The grip stuff sort of always interested me as well. The champions of crushed grippers, and I kind of discovered by accident that I had this pretty good grip strength. I'd have seen, pinching 20 kilo plates and stuff. I'd have seen stuff online that this was feats of strength and grip, and I was able just to go and lift these and be like, oh, that was pretty easy. Yeah. The Thomas Sensor dumbbell, the first time I tried to lift it, picked it straight up, so that sort of correct. I closed 2.5 the first time using Captain's Crush. So I was always interested in arm wrestling as well. Like, I was always good at that in school. I went down to my friend's house and beat their dads in arm wrestling and stuff. But in this country, there was nowhere that I knew you could do it. I knew Glenn Ross had ran competitions, but
sure, yeah.
The coach was like, "What do? You just turn up?" And nothing really came from that. It was actually Adam Johnson I'd ran into then in VO2 where I was training. And I'd heard Adam before. I'd seen him as well at some of Glenn Ross's strongman shows. Glenn Ross was Irish, would have been Irish national champion at the time, would it have been?
Yeah.
Or Ulster's champion. He'd introduced him there. So I'd seen Adam and then I'd approached him in the gym. This could be 8 years ago maybe.
Were you at the gig where we did arm wrestling in Ultimate Strongman? Were you there when Eddie Hall was competing and the other guys and I was over reffing?
No, I hadn't been to any arm wrestling competitions at all until I'd done my own first novice one.
Right, and when you said obviously you'd been interested in arm wrestling, mate, and you'd gone over and you'd arm wrestle with your mates' dads and things like that, what kind of age were you there, Carl, when you were beating blokes?
15, 16.
Were you big at that point?
No, I was always sort of lean and muscular. I'd have probably been 16, I'd have been maybe only 85 kilo maybe, but I was always lean, muscular build at that age.
And what sports did you do at that time, mate? Were you into your usual rugby, football, things like that?
I didn't play rugby. It was football. I always played football. And I probably stopped playing football at 19 when I got a bit happier and just got too happy to run anymore.
Yeah. What are you weighing now, buddy? What's your body weight?
I'm way down. I've probably dropped about 15 kilo. 114 I was this morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've dropped a lot of weight, mate.
Yeah.
Because when you were over at the British, you must have been, 125, 130? You looked massive.
The British last year, I would have been at dad for holidays, so probably would have been 120 maybe just at the British. And then
bigger. You're one of those guys that looks bigger. Maybe just because you're as muscular as you are. But
Iron Arm, I think it was 125 in Iron Arm, and then when I pulled Paul, it was 127 there in August. So I sort of went off the rails there for the last few months.
So, getting a little bit of going back to where we were earlier. You were introduced to the sport effectively, or the sport proper, by Adam Johnson. And obviously, Adam Johnson, for those who don't know, got massive potential. A guy like yourself, who I believe in greatly. I think if Adam gets his wheels on the road, I think he's just going to be a menace for so many people. And it's fair to say that over at your gym now, you've got quite a few regulars coming in. How many in your team now?
There's the times I've counted 20, 18 to 20. We've counted in training. You've probably about 12 really consistent all the time there.
And any change since you got back from Dubai? Any sort of additional interest that you've seen?
No, not so much. When I was home there, it was just home on Wednesday. No, nothing new. No new guys coming on board. A lot of people in the gym talking to me about the stuff they have seen. I was watching Larry Wheel's channel and there you were standing. They were quite shocked by that, but nothing really arm wrestling wise, no.
Interesting. Well, give us another, first of all, before we go any further, for those of you out there, guys, who are interested in getting involved in the sport, and you might be based over in Ireland, give us a plug on the gym, mate. What's the name of the gym? Where are you at again?
Warehouse Gym. It's in Portadown.
Warehouse Gym in Portadown, guys. So if you are interested, get in touch with Adam, get in touch with Kyle, get over there, and you'll be working with some very, very strong guys, and iron sharpens iron. So, if you're interested in arm wrestling out in Northern Ireland, these are your boys. This is where you want to be. And it's fair to say there's been a bit of a resurgence all around Ireland. Southern Ireland as well. You've got Adrian O'Dwyer down in that part of the world doing big things also.
I was actually down with Adrian on Sunday.
Okay.
We went down, many of us went down, probably eight of us went down to Kilkenny, the Adrian's gym, and a couple of the guys that took their matches with the guys down there. There's a lot of guys looking at me and Adrian to have a super match, but none of us were interested. He was sort of had a few niggles and I'm not really match ready, so we just got a bit of training done. I was well impressed by Adrian. I haven't pulled Adrian bar. I had started March 18. Was it March? Yeah, was when I pulled Adrian. Just training very. I don't even do it like 3 months at the time.
Yep.
Crazy arm wrist. Crazy. I haven't felt the hand wrist like Adrian's.
He's tremendous, isn't he? He's another. I mean, Ireland's such an exciting place at the moment from an arm wrestling perspective. So many guys over there with massive potential. Another one that doesn't come into the conversation a great deal because he's distracted in other areas, but who I've got great belief in would be Vitautas Lalas. Because Lalas is another guy who he's a sleeping giant. I mean, he's got so much power, so much ability. Came from arm wrestling, transitioned into strongman, did very well there. But if he was to take that step back and come over into arm wrestling again,
I think he had took a step back to go back to the arm wrestling. I think he was training with Adrian for a few weeks. And I think Adrian was just dominating him and he didn't like it and just decided he didn't want to do it anymore. As the bottom led the thing. Yeah. That was probably, that could be 8 months, a year ago now. He was dipping back into it again and I think Adrian was just dominating him and that was him.
Yeah, it's a shame because I know that balance would redress a great deal if he got back into it and started training. Yeah. He may not have appreciated that Adrian also has got a lot of ability, you know. And I think it's exciting times because the good thing with Ireland is it's not a massive country, so you guys can travel about, or not a massive distance for you to travel down to Adrian, for them to travel up to you. So much potential there for you guys to really bring each other along. I think there's going to be a number of champions from Ireland. And I wanted to sort of get your perspective on that, mate, really. Just walk us through your aspirations now, Kyle. Where do you sort of see yourself in the sport and where do you see yourself from a sort of ideal objectives going forward, mate?
Not something I've thought into too much. I wanted this year to compete every tournament. Iron Arm, Dragonfly was next, the rest of the year, Brits again, but wanted to do every tournament this year I could and see how I went from there, but then that obviously hit the fan. And haven't got doing that, so I haven't looked any further beyond that.
And how much of your time's dedicated to the sport now, Kyle? Because obviously you got the gym to run, it's your own business, you've got a general strength pedigree and you like to train generally in different areas. Where does sort of arm wrestling sit in terms of your priorities list at this point in time?
Not as much as it should be. And it hasn't been. Outside of my normal bodybuilding training, I've been getting to the table once a week most of this year. But as far as accessories with the arm wrestling stuff, I've just been neglecting it and getting by sort of thing. I sort of think I'll plan to do that after the workout and then the workout ends, can't be bothered, just no excuse, just laziness really. That's one of the reasons why I said as well to Adrian. I said I need to go down there and get a bit of a wake up to get my finger out and get into training. Like the last 2-3 months, even the gym training, I've done very, very little, hence the weight drop.
Yeah. And how, you mentioned obviously that the gyms were all closed there. Is that still the situation? Or are you guys in?
Back open. That was
tremendous.
Back open. When I came back to Dubai Wednesday, it was open Friday.
Oh, mega. Right. So you at least that's have the rates dropped over there a great deal then in Ireland?
The what?
The rates of COVID-19 is much better now.
The said after 2 weeks they're opening again, and so I'm hoping they're going to be classed in the gyms as essential, the same way they've done over in England.
Sure. Yeah.
But we can only see what happens. We're normally a few weeks behind what happens in England anyway. Normally what happens over there a few weeks later, we sort of follow suit. Yeah.
Yeah, well I'm hoping that you're not seeing the same sort of significant rates over there that we've got in the mainland and that things get better and the gyms do stay open. Obviously it must have been extremely impactful for you generally and because of just the fact that you own your own business, it's a difficult time.
Yeah.
Would you say your general strength training has dropped off a lot this year then, yourself, or have you, with the gym being shut on occasion, have you had more chance to work?
No, up until the match with Paul, everything was as good as it could be with my strength training. It's just literally the week after that, I ended up out of a long-term relationship, so it sort of went off the rails for 2 months, drinking, partying every weekend. So
Well, you're Irish to that. Come on, Jesus Christ. You're allowed to do that now and again, aren't you?
Yeah. It didn't. So training was just put in the back burner for a while.
Yeah.
Knocked that in the head now, so I will get back to work again. The problem.
So why the massive weight loss, mate? Obviously, coming down from sort of the 25 and so on, have you just been picking up the cardio as well?
No, it takes quite a lot of food for me to maintain that weight. And say I haven't been training, so I've been drinking instead of eating liquid calories. So just basically food, training, and that's just been the result of it.
How much strength loss have you seen, mate?
It's hard to gauge as well because it's literally only this week that I'll be getting back to training again. So it's not a big issue. A month I'll be back. 2 months I'll be back to my weight. So nothing worried about.
How do you feel in terms of sort of like your fluidity at the arm wrestling table when you're lighter, Carl? Do you feel better or?
I haven't actually done any right arm training since the match with Paul. I'd injured on the inside of my elbow. It was actually some after pulse. I was doing the low leg, and it was pretty badly injured. But I'd got a lot of cryotherapy. It was 2 weeks before the match with Paul. Got a lot of cryotherapy, and I went and got a scan to make sure everything was still attached. So everything was good to go. So went ahead with the match with Paul. Just took a few painkillers. Didn't affect me at all. Didn't affect me at all in the match with Paul. Not in the slightest. But it was still injured, so it was. I couldn't do anything right arm at all. So that was so I've done nothing. I've maybe done one half of the training session to see how it felt, but no, not a single thing then since August.
And how much? What was the timescale of the match with Paul? Was that sort of August?
It was mid-August.
Yeah, mid-August. So Paul had he was a lot bigger at that point, wasn't he? Paul'd gone. He was looked about 120 odd himself. It was the biggest version of Paul I've seen for maybe ever. Certainly, it was as big as he's been in the recent past. Did he feel like he was any stronger than when you pulled him last time? I know you pulled him at the Iron Arms.
Yes, I made significant improvements from the British, so gave me a tough enough match in position. So he definitely was definitely strong, definitely stronger than when I pulled him the British. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you out there who aren't familiar with Paul Maiden, one of Britain's very best arm wrestlers. Very, very solid arm wrestler, extremely technical arm wrestler, extremely experienced arm wrestler, and you were able to deal with Paul. That must have given you a tremendous amount of confidence, mate. Yeah,
well, I'd expected to deal with him so hard before I went over, to be totally honest. So I've had a lot of pulls with Paul now.
Had you practiced a lot with him before that?
Paul? No, the only time.
Just when you're in the tournament.
Just when I kept up with Paul when I'd done my first novice at Bognor in June.
Okay.
We looked at the side table with him, and then obviously had our match in the Brits, and then hadn't seen me again until our super match.
And in terms of sort of when you came into the sport, Kyle, and where you are now, how much of a progression do you think you've managed to make? Has it been very difficult for you to get access to good technical training? Do you feel like you're a little isolated out there? Or do you feel like that's built up a great deal? Have you got plenty of training partners who were at that level where you're getting genuine technical development?
Technical side, pretty lack, especially at the minute. When I first started training with Adam and Ryan and Julius, so we've lost Adam since February.
Really?
With the COVID, his girl would be high risk, so he's had to step away from the training. So it's really only Ryan Nelson we've got for the technical side of things. So it's sort of try and pick it up on your own.
Yeah, very, very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
But it must be I mean, obviously, once the chains come off, once the shackles come off, I think you'll probably find there's a great deal more interest in you as well from other people. So you've probably put your name out there in as good a way as you possibly could, from letting people know that you've got that strength, pedigree and potential. And I would imagine there'll be plenty of people knocking on your door to try and earn themselves a name.
Yeah, well, Tom Holland actually messaged me when I was in Dubai about setting up a super match with him at the end of February.
Okay, Tom the Lean Machine. Fair enough, my word.
Looking a bit of money on the line as well. I think it was 500 each.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. We're just going left arm, and I certainly wanted to go right as well if we were going to go left, but he was talking to the guys in Wall and they didn't really want him. They had plans for him that next year with a lot of right arm matches, so they didn't want to really risk any injury outside of that, so we're just going left arm.
How much of a disparity have you got left to right, mate? Is it now we're talking night and day?
Yeah. I thought my left was pretty terrible. And then I pulled the left hand tournament and Tom was my first match.
Really?
And I expected just to get smoked. But I actually then pinned him and beat him in the left hand match. And then pulled Gary.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
Pulled Gary. Pinned Gary, but Gary said it was an elbow foul. The referee said it wasn't. And then the ref sort of got pressured into calling an elbow foul. So pulled Gary again. I think it was flipped. Elbow foul, straps over 4 matches. Gary then eventually got the pin on them. Mm-hmm. And so pulled Tom again. And they just threw me to the pad. Basically, my arm was pretty smoked at that point. So we kind of won one left-handed at the minute.
Yeah. How do you feel like your sort of technical level is as well? If we're talking about strength, obviously your right is significantly better. Do you feel like there's also a big technical disparity in left and right arm?
Not as much as I thought. There might have been. The connection to the left is getting better every time I'm sort of on the table. Connection, find it can open up in the left a wee bit more from the body, but no, not. I'm confident enough in my left hand now.
And obviously, I'm interested to dig into this a little bit more, mate. You obviously said that you're doing a lot of sort of learn yourself and try and find your own way in the sport over there, which is extremely difficult. But it is often difficult for lads with your kind of power level to get that kind of solid training that's going to extend you further. You're a great training partner for other people in many ways because you're so much stronger and you can allow them to work in different positions. But different for yourself because you're stronger than most people anyway. So how have you been sort of going about progressing yourself? Are you sort of watching stuff online? Are you watching people like Devon Larratt and how they train? Maybe Voice of Armwrestling? How do you go about that, Carl?
It's to be careful as well not to try and watch too much and get too much information thrown at me. You don't really know what you're doing. Before, when I sort of first started, having Adam there, who was just always above me, and chasing him. Every week on the table was sort of like a challenge, and I enjoyed that. And it got to the point then we were closing the gap every week, and then that just drove me all the time, chasing Adam on the table. Got to the point then where started beating him, he started beating me, and just then pushing each other every week, and then just then trying to get past the point, just blasting through him then sort of thing. So that having Adam there was really a big part of developing for myself. And then since we met up in his friend's garage and trained over lockdown, a couple of us, and I think I made some quite good improvements then because I was sort of forced to do something different. And it's the same thing I actually said to Larry, was when you're gripping up and pulling guys weaker than you, it was trying to find ways of pinning them with the least amount of energy possible.
Sure. Yeah.
We curl my wrist, more rising back, just all the wee different angles, and what was the easiest route of putting them into the pad then. Yeah. And I think that really helped fill a lot of holes as well.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting, and one of the things I want to pick up with you, everybody seems to now have this opinion that you are a hook arm wrestler. You like to pull the inside. That's your thing. Not necessarily the case at all. At all. I mean, when we've seen your outings in the UK, couldn't be further from the truth. You tend to attack the top. Did you go out there with Khalid? Was it just a situation that you knew that that's where the guy was going to have everything for you, and so you wanted to just make it go dark and shut that angle out?
Slightly, yes. I used to always on the outside, and then it was my losses. Lost to Mendagas on the final of Ironarm. He was a hooker, and then Oleg, he had beat me the 2 weeks before that in the super match, and it was the hook. Then it was always the hook that I couldn't get a connection and felt awkward and didn't really know where to go with it.
Sure.
So once I'd lost them 2 matches, it was like starting to try and learn how to get more connection with the hook. Mm-hmm. And then it was the second super match I had with Oleg, where I knew it was just going to go hook every time. Yeah. And I was ready for that. So it sort of just developed my hook then the recent few months before the match with Paul. Still probably prefer to Paul on the outside, but I'm starting to feel more comfortable hooking now than I had in the past. But yeah, and a new challenge was all hands, so I thought we'll get into hooking from there and just take that away.
Did you sort of have a chance to get any kind of feeling out process before the matches that we've seen online now, or was that pretty much it?
Yeah.
Did you go to the table and?
Yeah, I went to the table trying to warm up with him. He was just looking the pulse straight away. So I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, none of this figure of 8 bullshit.
5 seconds, and that was just get into it.
How strong is he, mate? How strong did Cal feel? Did Khalid feel?
Yeah, he was strong. His hand wrist was pretty strong. His arm was decently strong as well.
Well, there's been a lot of debate about that, hasn't there? You know, a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, you know, he clearly doesn't have a hook. Now, other people have said, yeah, he does have a hook. It's just that he's not really dangerous there. Did you get, after the sort of pulls, did you get a chance to sort of let him get into the hook, or did he have any interest going there or not?
Well, once we had done them couple of pulls, done a few left, he didn't want to do any more. He was just finished for the day then.
Wow. So you only pulled a handful of times. You didn't sort of pull for a long time.
No, I was trying to get him to, trying to do some top roll stuff with him, and sort of done, like, he was just, I don't really know what he was doing. We just like slipped out for 2, and then no, he wasn't interested anymore pulling after that. I don't think he understands the concept of training. I think he just wants to get in and arm wrestle people. Just
a competitive pull and then done.
I know there's different things about how much training he's done and competitions he's done. Had he done a competition a year and a half ago or something, had he? Or was there videos of him?
You know what? There's a lot of myth and legend out there, isn't there, about, Khalid's been wrestling longer than you think. Now, I haven't a clue, mate, to be honest, but from what I've seen of Khalid, he's very much a novice arm wrestler. I mean, positioning is novice. Everything about it just seems novice, you know.
So basically he's a novice arm wrestler, so as far as strength goes, it's pretty outstanding for a novice arm wrestler to have that strength, if you look at it that way.
When you sort of got into the hook on him, where would you rate him in terms of your comparative strength barometer? So you've pulled a lot of guys. You've pulled, let's say, Paul Maiden. Okay, Paul Maiden, who is a solid, good level professional arm wrestler, technical, and would you say that Khalid felt as strong as, stronger than, or not as strong as somebody like Paul Maiden?
That
honest answer.
Stronger, just a stronger man, yeah. Khalid's just a stronger man than what Paul would be, yeah.
And did that translate in terms of the threat you felt? So when you were up there with him, did you think, oh, Jesus, this guy, you know, were you sort of aware you'd got a tiger by the tail? Did you think, oh, shit, this guy is really strong?
Yeah, there was quite a lot of resistance there on the sideways towards the pad. More so than you'd feel from a lot of guys. Yeah. Even, like, I know a lot of times he was out like this, but at times when he was still on his arm was pretty straight, but he was still on the bicep, but at points and holding quite a lot of resistance still.
Mm-hmm. Is he the strongest guy you've arm wrestled against, mate? In terms of from a sort of new people perspective, a new puller perspective.
Oh yeah, definitely. As far as a new puller, like that's, or even the guy that's maybe been pulling for a year, that's pretty extraordinary strength to feel for. As you said, his pulling is very novice, so he's a novice. It's just severe strength for a guy that's novice pulling.
Well, it was interesting to try and get some kind of perspective, because there's all these people out there talking about whether or not he's very, very strong. I've got a great deal of trust in the assessment of somebody like Devon, because Devon knows his stuff. And if Devon thinks you're strong, you're strong. You know, because I know that Devon can feel all areas and so on. And it's trying to get some sort of support or endorsement of that. If you felt, this guy has got a massive amount of potential, from somebody like yourself, who obviously is an extremely strong individual. I think to be honest, when that came out, a lot of people discredited Khalid. And I was sort of, I can't even remember, but might have even been Engin. And I think there was a post on Engin's site where people were saying, oh, well, Khalid clearly isn't as strong as we thought he was. And I put a caveat on there to, wait a minute, guys, I think you need to be aware of how strong Kyle is. Because I think a lot of these people may not have expected, or might not be giving you the credit that you probably deserve in terms of just how strong you are. Whereas for us guys in the UK, we've been sort of raving about you. I mean, I've spoken to people about you before and said, oh, we got one. I think when we went out for that Indian the last year, I said, I'm excited about you, mate. You got real, but it's not often we have had a genuine super heavyweight who's a genuine, I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding, a bit bad, bad to people, but I have been able to compete with a lot of people who've been pulling in the super heavyweight scene, and I shouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't train anymore, and I'm an 85 kilo guy with a lot of fat on him. So I mean that in the nicest possible way, but I'm a 47-year-old man who's bloody not focused on the sport anymore. If I can come in and compete with you, in my mind, you're not there. You know what I mean? Yeah. You should be leathering me like I'm not there, and you can't. So that's just my honest perspective of it. I would, if I was me looking to progress in the sport and I couldn't beat myself where I'm at now, I would think, well, I'm not going to be a top level arm wrestler. It's just not going to happen. Whereas when yourself came along, I thought, bloody hell, this is a guy that could go somewhere. Same with Adam. Same with, guys that you can think, okay, this guy's got something. And that was more exciting to me. We had another Marvin Palmer, I always thought had a great future. Yeah. I thought Marvin could have gone. If Marvin had dedicated and focused himself, I honestly think Marvin could do something.
I'd heard Paul say that before as well about one of the channels about Marvin. Yeah, I've heard quite a lot about Marvin Palmer.
Yeah.
I get pulled. My first novice copy was pulling in the pros super heavyweights.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the formula. I think he ended up coming fourth or something, but that was the last time.
Great. I'm sure you'll meet Marvin down the track. So Marvin's a great bloke and got a lot of potential. Real athlete, natural athlete, could be good at a myriad of things but he's not carrying fat. He's a genuinely big man. Yeah. And he's got a lot of potential. But outside of yourself and Marvin, there haven't been many guys that have come along where I thought, okay, this guy's got some genuine potential to go on and do something on the world stage. And for me, that would be somewhere I definitely see yourself. I definitely see Adam Johnston. I definitely see guys. Adrian's another one, that can do something. So it'll be interesting if you can continue to progress technically, to see where you can get to and in what kind of time scale. And that was my next question for you, really, mate. Have you got sort of a long-term plan for yourself? Do you see yourself at a particular level at a particular time, or are you here for the long run?
Yeah, I'm here for the long run. I actually said to Adam when I first started, I says I'm not sort of doing this just to take part. I'm taking it as far as I can go with it. I was actually, when I was talking to Adrian Sunday, two of us were sort of planning on meeting up a lot more often.
Excellent.
Adrian's better than me on the outside. I'd be slightly better than him on the inside. So if we can both work, well, as you say, when you're so much stronger than the guys you're training with, it's hard to work in them areas. But when you're training with somebody stronger than you in the areas, and we sort of both suit on what way suits us to train. So we're going to definitely, it's a 3-hour drive, but it's worth doing every other week even. So the two of us are planning to definitely get a lot more training together to progress.
Excellent, mate. I think it's a really good thing.
There's only so much you can do. I know Adrian used a lot of cable stuff, but there's only so much you can do to pull the cables about the gym.
Exactly that. There is. There just isn't, there's not the opportunity to get the real quality table time out of working with any kind of cable machine. You need something that evolves and that hits you back and that tests you in different areas. But it's funny, when I was speaking to Devon just before he had the issues, and he was talking about coming over to the UK as well. If and when that happens, mate, I'll make sure that you're well aware of that as well, and you can maybe get some training in with Devon. That's the type of level I think you need to be working at, just to give you that additional boost forward.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But, I'll tell you what, mate, I know you've got things to do at the gym there. We've been on for 40 minutes and it's been a real pleasure to get you on the show. And I know for the people out there, Kyle was sort of hesitant and surprised that I'd asked him to come on the show. And that speaks volumes about the kind of guy that you're dealing with in Kyle. He's obviously a very shy, unassuming individual, but believe you me, I've met a lot of arm wrestlers. This man is the real deal, and you will be hearing more from Kyle. Keep your eyes on this guy. If you're an arm wrestling fan on a global basis, believe me, you'll see more from this Irishman. He's a bad mother fluffer. Kyle, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate the time, dude.
Thanks very much.
I'm looking forward to seeing the next steps, mate. And as I said before, if I can be any assistance along the way, I'm more than happy to help you where I can, brother.
Brilliant. Yes, thank you very much.
Ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to Supernatural Strength, please like, share, subscribe, let everybody know about it, and get out in the comments, talk about Kyle. Remember, if you want to hear more from this fella, just let me know. We'll get some questions over to him. We'll get him on with some of the other UK athletes and have a bit of a circuit on that and get some of your questions answered. And if you're in Ireland, one more time, plug that gym, mate. Where should they go to?
Warehouse Gym, Portadown.
Warehouse Gym, ladies and gents, Portadown. Get over there, get training with Adam and Kyle. And until we see you next time here on Supernatural Strength, take it easy, peeps.